Hi, my name's Aisling Conlon and I'm here representing the UK Advertising Exports Group, or UKAEG as we like to call it for short. We're backed by the Advertising Association, the IPA, the APA, DMA, London and Partners and the Creative Industry Council. And through our unique partnership with DIT, our main aim is to support the international growth of UK advertising and marketing services. Over the years, global clients have been drawn to the UK for many reasons, including the fact that the UK is the most awarded advertising hub per capita, that talent aspires to work in the market, bringing with them an excellent knowledge of the international market and making the UK an easy place to do business. The UK is also the world's most advanced digital advertising economy, third only in size to the US and China. And last but certainly not least, the UK is home to some of the world's leading storytellers, with a unique culture of delivering effectiveness through creativity. As we emerge from lockdown, those reasons will still ring very true. UK advertising, with its brilliant combination of strategic, creative, technological and production capabilities, will play a crucial role in the recovery of the economy and for brands all around the world. The US remains the largest market for the UK advertising services. In total, they take 1.1 billion from the industry. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by our expert panelists to discuss their experiences of business success in the US, the challenges and opportunities, and take a look at how the market is recovering post-COVID-19. So I'm going to ask each of them to introduce themselves. James?
Hi, I'm James Tomkinson. I'm the Managing Director of Nexus Studios. We're a creative studio, mainly working with clients direct and agencies across Europe, the UK, US and APAC.
And Chris?
Hi, my name is Chris Whittle. I'm Managing Director of Experience 12. We're a creative, experiential and events agency specialising in pop culture, and we work with clients such as Amazon Video, Netflix, Paramount and Warner Brothers.
And Pippa?
Hello, I'm Pippa Bart. I'm one of the co-founders of Madam Films. We are a UK production service company. We work predominantly with global production companies across the world, ad agencies and communication agencies really of all shapes and sizes.
So we're here today to talk about working in the States. So I'm curious as to how that all started for you. Was it something that you had planned as a strategy, or is it something that just organically occurred? Chris, perhaps you'd like to go first.
No planned strategy whatsoever. It was a pure accident and just one of those random email phone call moments, to be honest with you. We were helping out a client on a project here in the UK and basically the creative cut through. So then it went up the chain to the States and then came back down, and we ended up activating a campaign in 8 territories globally, including the US, even though it was home turf for the client. So a lot of time, a lot of hours, but a great campaign to start off with.
Brilliant. And Pippa, how did it all come about for you?
We originally started as a traditional commercial production company for the UK market, and I think that was around about 2012, and it was one of the years where it was really difficult across recession and global financial ruin, and it became really difficult to do our business in an already very overpopulated market. So we felt that we just needed to pivot our business and concentrate really on what we do really well, which is production. So we took our director roster out of the equation, concentrated purely on what we could offer with production, and took ourselves out of the UK market to offer ourselves to the global market. And that was when we turned our business into a production service company.
That's fascinating. I'll have some more questions for you on that. But James, how did it work for Nexus?
Well, I think we've always been a sort of very international, outward-facing company. We have sort of Japanese roots right back from when we started, but really the first major break was with doing the title sequence for Spielberg's Catch Me If You Can back in sort of 2002, 2003. That went on to sort of get us lots of work with some great agencies like Wieden and Kennedy Portland and Goodby Silverstein. and again sort of culminated in 2012 with Chipotle, Back to the Start, which we were lucky enough to get the Cannes Grand Prix with. So it sort of cemented our reputation as a company operating on the world stage, and meant that we've actually, again, organically grown from that point to where we are now, which is having an office in the US.
Well, that brings me to my next question. With an office in the States, was that something that you started off with, or it's something that it just kind of it happened along the way?
For us, it's something that only happened 3 years ago, and the reason we did it was because we were getting more and more work from the West Coast, and there's some really interesting things going on there, where the sort of entertainment industry and brands and tech were all coming together in LA. Well, not just LA, the West Coast, and there was more and more opportunities for us, really. And so Chris, our ECD and co-founder, went out there and started the office to try and get closer to the clients, so we could actually have more and more face-to-face meetings. And it's proved that there has been some great opportunities out there.
And then Chris, with Experience 12, are you running everything from London, or have you also set up offices out there?
Very much set up from London. Basically, the beginning part of the projects aren't necessarily where anything physical needs to happen. So we just run late nights and early mornings a lot of the time for everyone concerned. But actually, for approvals and all that kind of stuff, it's actually better that way, because overnight approvals they're a cinch. They're very easy to do with the US and the UK, because we're working when they're not and they're working when we're not. So actually, as a workflow, it works incredibly well for us on that basis.
And Pippa, I see you nodding. With Madam Films, are you running everything from London?
We are running everything from London, and I absolutely echo what Chris is saying. We're on a bid at the moment with the West Coast, and late last night just getting the brief in, and we're able to work on it today to be able to deliver for them when they wake up this morning. So actually getting all that information, as much of that information beforehand, and then just being allowed to crack on and deliver is a really efficient way of responding. Then you've got that little bit of time as you're about to deliver, with a little bit of back and forth to be able to adjust as needed. But we have predominantly, until last year, we've done all our own sales and marketing for the US, but last year we did start working with an American rep, which is it's a kind of common structure in the industry with production, the whole production remit, to be working with US reps to gain business from there. And that came with the global partnership that we've joined as the UK partner.
Okay. And so James, you have an office. Pippa and Chris, you're managing everything from London. So I'm going to expect maybe some different answers to my next question. But James, if you have an office in the States, how do you work with hiring talent? Are people naturally drawn because they're like, well, this is a UK company, we want to be part of it? Is there any challenges?
Yeah, I think so. One of the really important things that we've always done is Nexus has always had its own DNA, and we've always tried to sort of make sure that carries across to other offices. So when we set up in the US, Chris, the co-founder, and ECD went out there with some of the other guys from the UK office and sort of managed to bring the flavour of the company to the US. And that in itself is something we've always done. We've also got an office in Sydney, and that was, again, Darren, our ex-head of 3D, moved back to Sydney and started the studio out there. And again, it just means that the sort of flavour of Nexus is transferred across all the offices.
So I guess you feel that bringing the culture is very important, no matter where the office is located, that the Nexus culture is always there.
Absolutely. And one of the sort of things that I think has really benefited us is that because when, like Pippa and Chris, when we were just one office, people get to know you regardless of where they are in the world. So if you suddenly start working in LA, you can pick up with those clients where you left off. Yeah.
And then Pippa and Chris, perhaps it's a different answers from you guys, because if you're running everything from London, are you looking to bring talent into the UK to work with you on these projects, or is it that you're working with the reps? Perhaps Chris, you'd like to take this one first.
So it very much depends on the project. For us, some of ours are just creative projects. So, we deliver a best practice deck for a certain title or a certain release, which then is distributed globally. So on that basis, we don't actually need to engage anyone in the US whatsoever. We're just working directly into clients, so that's fine. All the resources based here in the UK. When we actually undertake activity ourselves over there, so we've been given a brief that we've then fed back, and then we've been asked to take that on ourselves. It hasn't gone out to the local office. Then we have a network of partners, and you kind of pick them up over the years, or you have recommendations from people in the sector who you know and trust, and you work with on that basis. In the US, certainly, we do have trusted partners we work with relatively regularly, and that relationship's built up over a few years now.
And Pippa, I know that you've mentioned the reps that you work with, but is there anything else? Are there any opportunities or challenges that you find when it comes to working with talent on the ground or in the UK for international projects?
No, not really, actually. Myself and my partners have been in the industry for a very long time. We have a really wide network. You can really draw on people's expertise on the ground there as well. So there's a communication flow to be able to understand what's happening out there and help you understand what your client is needing, which makes the UK an attractive offering as opposed to, say, somewhere like Vancouver, for example, which is a big competitive location to London. But yes, working with the sales rep, that gives you, they have that little black book of people, and they have the inroads to the agencies that I, for example, wouldn't have over there, despite even having a good network. They're the ones that are in at the agencies, getting their eyes and ears on the scripts to be able to put us forward. So we're certainly employing talent in that way. But like Chris, a lot of our own talent is UK based. And we'll often put forward directors and DPs if it's required for the project. But obviously all of our production crews are based here.
Thank you. So we're going to take a moment to talk about new business. And what I'm keen to know is, with the States in mind, what do you see are the key factors for new business wins? Because often we talk about winning awards, or we talk about actually, for different markets, we might talk about the location of the UK and how that works with the time zone. But what do you all see as the key factors for winning new business when you're going to the States? Chris, perhaps you'd like to take this one first.
I think because we take briefs from the domestic market or from the global market into the UK, or work back into them or into Europe and across territory, the time zone is quite an important thing, but also the UK's global links. And in addition to that, a lot of the EMEA offices are actually based in London as well. So we're kind of at a nice nexus point for all of that to come together. So we're responsible. We can go and sit down and do face-to-face with certain players within the entire chain. We can also do video, and then also if we need to speak to other people in other territories, we can also link up at that point as well. So it's just a nice nexus, I think, of all those factors.
And Pippa, what would you say are the key factors for you?
So I'm purely talking from a production perspective. There's a number of factors, actually. One of the big ones is the talent. So the talent we have here across cast isn't unionised like it is in the States, so it's more affordable, and we're able to negotiate more favourable buyouts per year than the US. And I believe they base their buyouts there on a talent day rate, and our talent day rate is lower than theirs. We can also negotiate directly and pay the agents directly, which can save them 10% on that. Location is key. London, obviously, we shoot UK wide, but London is a hub for various companies' flagship properties, whether it's hotel chain like Marriott or a big corporate like Morgan Stanley, and they'll want to shoot on their premises with their people, and also the diversity of the talent as well. Obviously, London is the most diverse. If not the most, the second most diverse city in the world. So we can offer all types of diversity of people, and also hero talent. Lots of sports personalities here, for example. We've done a couple of jobs with American companies looking at our Olympians over here. So it's pretty vast. And our visual landscape, they want to see London as well.
And then you've worked with a lot of footballers, especially those from Liverpool Football Club. So I imagine lots of them will be in demand after last night.
Yes, we've been on the phone to the football club today, actually. They're all very happy.
I can imagine that they are. James, sorry. What do you see are the opportunities for new business, or what are the key factors when it comes to winning new business, especially thinking of the States?
The key factors for us are really the legacy of good work that we've done over the years, not only for the US market but for internationally, but also our offering is slightly different to a lot of our competitors, and we appeal massively to the tech companies. We understand their tech, and we know how to make it warm and engaging. Our clients tend to commission us in very different ways, from branded content through to apps, and I think they like the fact that we can do so much under one roof, albeit those roofs are across the US, UK and Sydney, but that leads into sort of a slight sort of 24-hour production model where we can do very, very big projects really quite efficiently across those 3 studios.
Thank you. So what we've all, through all our various answers, or through all your various answers, it's very true that UK advertising is a global hub. And it would be great to hear from you all just why you believe we are the global hub of advertising. So, Pippa.
There's just an incredible diversity of talent and an extremely rich heritage of our industry here. I think the education of it is really strong as well. Across agencies and production companies, there is a real drive to properly train the people that we've got and take them through the ranks. And there's people that have been doing this for a really long time and are working, across production. You've got crews available to us that are on, have been working on Oscar films that have won Oscars, BAFTAs. There's an incredible richness of talent, and also, there's diversity of people. So for me, I think those are probably 2 of the key main reasons.
Yeah, thank you. Chris?
I think the talent is the main thing. I mean, certainly from our point of view, there's so much proximity to talent from top to bottom. That's from creating the content, which we look to market for people, through to actually the delivery of that content. And I think that's absolutely essential, because the UK is a relative pressure cooker market. It's a very intense advertising market, full stop. So we're forced to innovate, and we're forced to look at things in a different way than a lot of other marketplaces. What that allows us to do is then implement those learnings directly from the UK market outwards. It doesn't work all the time, but most of the time they are relevant. We've kind of seen a lot of it before, and it's a great way of just getting out there and just using it again and crafting a little bit more.
And James?
I think again, it's all about talent, isn't it? So from directors through to artists, through to technicians, it's the diversity of that talent gives us all of us the ability to market that to our clients and make us look very attractive. But also, more than that, it gives us the ability to make the creative output incredibly strong.
I'm going to ask this next question in two different ways. So you might have the same answers or you might have different answers. So we'll just see. So if we put COVID-19 aside for one moment, what do you see as the opportunities and challenges of working globally, but particularly given your successes in the States?
I think one of the great opportunities of the US is that so much big brand work comes out of the US, and that's in many, many different shapes and forms. And I think if you want to operate on a world stage, you really have to be open to working with the US. It really opens a door like no other. I think the tech companies now are certainly using our services in really, really interesting ways, and I think that's pushed a lot of other brands to be more inventive and generally more interesting.
Thank you. Chris?
Again, it all comes down to, as James was just saying, it all comes down to the focus. We're an entertainment-focused business and a pop culture-focused business, and that business is run out of the States. Obviously, there's other bits of it, but the main one that is culturally influential in the UK, and the rest of the world is coming out of the US. So the opportunity to play in that marketplace and to work in that marketplace is one that we aspire to. It's as simple as that, and that's the most important thing, and that's the opportunity there.
Thank you. Pippa?
I think for us it's the sheer scale of the market, actually. There's a myriad of opportunities to be working, if it's West Coast, East Coast, digital agencies, big ad agencies, production companies quietly just doing their, direct to client. I mean, there is such an array of clients to introduce who we are to and offer our services to. So yeah, the market is huge. There is a lot of work coming out of it, and it's on a regular basis. Advertising is big over there. As an industry, brands and clients, want to be getting their name out there and showcasing across all the channels. So yeah, that sort of richness and vastness of the market.
Thank you. And I
I
guess
think one of the other things. Sorry. One of the other things is I think working with the US is really, really interesting, and I think clearly all three companies here today have a unique skill at engaging with US clients, and they're great to work with. They're incredibly ambitious, but that relationship, once it's established, they're very, very loyal, and it can form some very long-lasting relationships.
So what we're going to look now is, again, pre-COVID, the industry calendar was very much about going to conferences. Chris and Pippa, we were going to South by Southwest together in March. That never happened. And we know even things like Cannes has changed. It's gone to a virtual event this week for Lions Live. And we're looking at Web Summit and everything else that's coming up later this year to see how they will appear. My question to you is just, it's a little bit of crystal ball gazing, but what do you think the future of new business looks like? So are events going to move to a more virtual experience? Is there something that we need to do? We've been doing a lot of virtual trade missions. Do you see more of those things happening? Pippa?
I'm really a true believer and advocate in the human connection and having proper face-to-face with somebody, and I put immense value on it, and I still feel that in the future there is room for that. I think what we will be doing is looking at where we spend our money most wisely, because a lot of the considerations that we want to take forward, and this was a journey we started on earlier this year, is becoming a carbon neutral production company, and the impact that our choices have on that and the planet. So sales trips have always been really important. going to the ad festivals has always been a hugely important part of how we do business, because you actually get to meet all the people that you have been pitching with, or, you know, meeting for the first time, those new contacts. So for me, it'll probably be a little less travel, a little bit more targeted travel, and much more on video conferences like this, which weren't really done. It was much more email and phone, but with the absence of having that face-to-face in real life togetherness, that the Zoom does replace it in some ways.
I know. Who would have thought about 3 or 4 months ago that Zoom and Teams would be something that we mention about 20 times a day? Chris, what do you see as the future of new business?
Well, I, for one, hope that conferences and events come back, because that's kind of some of the work we do. So that'd be really handy right now. But I think I have to concur with Pippa. There's no way that not sitting in a room with someone isn't the most essential form of human contact. You know, the video is all very well, but you use a lot of the nuances. You have to pause to wait for people to talk, and all those things just stop that flow of conversation because you can't read the room as well. So we very much believe that in the future, and indeterminate future right now, that all those events will come back to some degree. But I think a lot of them will be hybrid events. So there's an opportunity here for a smaller number of people to gather, because that will obviously be safer depending on what happens in the future, for that to then be amplified out and then basically distributed out on a wider basis through video. So I think what the future holds is basically a lot more hybrid events, so that there are people there experiencing them, but also the amplification and the distribution of that content is actually a lot better. And I think it's an area which was going to be developed anyway. I just think this has pushed the development forward.
Yeah, I agree with you. I can see hybrid becoming a thing. James, what are the key factors when it comes to winning new business, especially thinking of the States?
I think we've always done a lot of video conferences, you know, Hangouts, etc. We've always done a lot of presenting work down the line. Obviously, it doesn't beat face to face, but I think, you know, we're working with so many different markets. It's not always possible to be face to face. I think there will be a resurgence of award ceremonies and festivals, and I think they'll have a massive honeymoon period as everybody wants to forget about lockdown. And so I think, yes, everybody's very keen to get off Hangouts and video conferences, but they're here to say they've been a part of our business for so long. It's a successful way of presenting. You have to do it. You have to do it, and you have to do it effectively. But as everybody said, it doesn't beat face to face.
And it's interesting that you mention awards, because I'm keen to actually know how important you see winning awards in the marketplace that you're working in. Do you hold them in a lot of value when it comes, or in high value when it comes to planning what your new business strategy is?
We absolutely do. I mean, we're very targeted in the awards we enter, because there's so many these days, and so we make sure that we try and achieve success in specific awards in specific markets that will appeal to our clients.
Chris, how do you feel about awards?
I'd love to. Unfortunately, we're mainly involved in NDAs and things like that. So actually to get the sign off to actually enter any awards most of the time is pretty minimal. So we've kind of had to evolve a strategy that kind of avoids having to rely on that. I do believe they're a really valuable tool, and, you know, where we can, we do stuff here in the UK, but generally our international work, we're not allowed to.
So the NDAs provide a bit of a challenge, I'm guessing, then, when it comes to making lots of PRable noise.
Yes.
And Pippa, what do you think about awards?
Well, I think they're a great benchmark to the incredible work that our industry is producing. We're essentially a supplier, so we're not really in a position to submit our work for awards. Normally it will be craft driven, which will be the director or the cinematographer, or it'll be the idea, and none of those things actually come from Madam. although we're part of that creative process to, make everything as great as we can be for the budgets that are had. But we go to most of the big ad award festivals and ceremonies because you want to be meeting the people that are producing great work as well, to be hopefully a future production partner with.
Thank you.
Well, the other thing I was just going to say was one of the great things about entering awards and winning awards is it gives the talent that have worked on a project the recognition they deserve, which is absolutely fantastic because we've all talked about talent today. So it highlights them, which is fantastic.
I think that's a great point. So we know that the US as a market is moving out of lockdown and everything is changing. How do you all feel that the market is recovering there? Have you continued to work with brands during lockdown? Is the phone ringing off the hook now? Everyone wants to talk to you about their next project. If someone is sitting in the audience today who's thinking perhaps the States is something that I should look to as my new business strategy, what does it look like over there at the moment? James, I'll come to you first.
Well, we found it to be super busy. It's very, very active at the moment. We've got lots and lots and lots of inquiries across all sorts of different work, from interactive through to branded content. And we'd like to think that we're doing some quite interesting work that actually is relevant for the current times. We've done some a recent spot for HP with Goodby Silverstein, which is engaging children to learn at home, and some work for Headspace, which is the meditation app, and that's all been around providing the app for free to the unemployed and to people in need. So I think there's a great opportunity, but there's also an opportunity to do good work as well, responsible work.
Thank you. Chris?
We've had some creative briefs come through and things like that, but nothing particularly substantial. There's still quite a lot of trepidation about reopening large events and all those kinds of things, which is essentially what we do a lot of our work at. So at the minute, I think there's still going to be a little bit of time before things start opening up properly in our area anyway. Certainly.
Thank you. Pippa?
We have had inquiries through our own lockdown, and just as the US was going into theirs, there is interest and there's ideas that are there and things are picking up, and shoots are looking like they're going to be happening in July and August and September. It's very much the feedback I'm getting from clients is that at the moment it's that COVID acceptable kind of production. So the people are from the same family and it might be in their homes. The current push is to shoot in the US while they can. Crew sizes are small, ideas are quite small. This is all live action, of course. And the bigger pieces of work are looking to shoot internationally. And we've got some inquiries right now, which we're bidding on for July, end of July production here in the UK. Overall, it seems that agencies would like directors and small crews to be on set, and the agencies will attend remotely. So remote production is absolutely on the agenda over there. But budgets are smaller and there is trepidation still.
Thank you. If we have any CMOs in the audience today who are thinking about working with Team UK, aside from giving you all a call, what would you give them as their first piece or their next piece of advice? Because we assume that your first piece of advice is for them to ring you. So where would they start? Chris?
Start on the internet. look for agencies, recommendations. I think that a good agency is easy to find. There's lots of good agencies here, and we're all pretty good at promoting ourselves to some degree because that's what we do for a living. So I think we always see that as a bit of a benchmark, to be honest with you, with looking for new agencies, even when we're looking for partners as well. Further to that, have faith. I think it's all going to change, and I think that things are going to move on, and I think everything's going to come back to a new, normal, different way of doing things. But I think that the work will still be as creative as it can possibly be within the circumstances, and I think that's what we excel at, is making the best of the circumstances and the cards that are dealt to us.
Thank you. And by web, I know that you meant you should go to the UK AEG hub.
Yeah, well, what I was going to say then actually was I think you should go to the UK AEG hub as your first port of call on the internet. I just switched straight to the internet there.
That's exactly what I thought you were saying. Pippa, what advice would you give?
Well, after you've looked at our website, definitely go to the UK AEG hub. I mean, there is an incredible array of exceptional companies. I mean, there are. I'm amazed by our industry and what we can do and the passion within it and the technical ability, the creative ability. And there is a real synergy between the UK and the US. You know, when we work together, it's really like welcoming family. And it's just a joy. There is a lot of seamless working. And actually, we learned so much from the US, actually. They're incredibly business orientated. And it's a real pleasure to welcome them over here. But yeah, huge talent. I think you'll feel very much at home working with the types of companies that are part of UK AEG here, because you'll recognise that level of professionalism and expertise that you see in your own.
Thank you. And James?
Yeah, so I understood the question slightly differently, actually. I understood it as you know, if the CMO's in the audience, you know, what would we suggest they did next? And I really think one of the key things is that they need to, you know, feel confident about investing in work that really resonates with audiences. I think that's why people come to the UK, because we are great storytellers. There's a huge diversity of talent here who can tell those stories, and a huge amount of studios that they can work with to do that. So I think there's that aspect, but there's also brands that understand their impact in order to achieve kind of positive change will also do super well. I think there's a lot of issues around diversity and inclusion at the moment where brands need to engage with that and embrace that, as we all do.
Thank you. Does anybody want to add anything else to that bit? No? Okay. Last question then. The UK government is about to go into overdrive with its plans to boost exports of the creative industries, which includes obviously our sector. If there's any companies on the flip side who are in the audience and are now thinking, that's it, I'm going to start exporting tomorrow as my new business strategy, what is the advice you would give them? James?
I think remain true to your DNA and understand your USP. Simple as that.
Chris?
Don't become too bland. I think that when agencies tend to go out globally, they tend to kind of dial down the USP and all of that kind of stuff. Just be yourselves. I mean, the most important thing is the honesty of that exchange and that conversation, and actually being able to communicate on a one-to-one basis and have a decent chat. We do excel at chatting in the UK. It's one of our national sports, so just use that and get on with it.
Thank you. Pippa?
I think know your strengths, and authenticity is absolutely key. Just, be you, and enjoy the opportunity to learn about how your target clients are running their business. And, you know, a key starting point for me is wanting to understand what the concerns are that they're having to address and how we as a supplier can help them overcome those concerns. So we want to be a provider of solutions to help them be armed to be the best that they can be. So this is how I always approach it. And I think presentations go down really well in the States, you know, a great deck that isn't too heavy on the copy, but really gives a sense of who you are.
Is there anything that anybody hasn't said that they would like to say?
I'd probably like to revise my answer earlier and say, so the first point of call ought to be to go to the UK AEG website.
Thank you.
I was just going to say, I think, you know, one of the things working with the US is one needs to respect the cultural differences. To Chris's point earlier, that we're great, we're really good at chatting. I think that's very attractive to the US, but I think one does need to respect the cultural differences, and they're very respectful in return.
Could you give any example of a cultural difference that someone would need to observe?
I think the US market always likes follow up on everything. So if you do a call or you do a conference, video conference, there's always an interest from their point of view for you to follow up and reiterate the conversation and high five about how exciting the project is.